citizen, same vision is for equal rights and justice for the people them. What's happening to this beautiful world that we're living in? World citizen, lift up your voices.
The People Powered Planet podcast is a project that was initiated because of a movie we made about world citizen #1 Gary Davis, a fellow who for 65 years of his life lived as a citizen of no nation, of just the entire planet. And he had incredible experiences with Albert Einstein and Eleanor Roosevelt and Camus and Sartre and all the famous people and masses of people around the world who helped build the citizens movement, which helped pave the way for the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and to inspire the founders of the Council of Europe, the Parliament of Europe. And he envisioned that we would have a People's World Assembly for the planet where we could begin to create some better ways to govern our world. Today we have as our very special guests, Dominik, who is with Acoustics Band, and we'll be starting out talking with him, and then we're going to also talk with Randy Seol, who did the other World Citizen song in our movie, The World Is My Country. So welcome, Dominik, to our show. We would love to hear a little bit more about how you got started in music and how you see music as being a tool for helping uplift humanity.
Hello, folks. First of all, nice to be on the show. I feel very nice to be here. So I was introduced to music through my family, actually, when I was quite young. My father was a singer, and so there was always music around. And when I was a teenager, I started to play guitar, and at some point I started writing my songs, influenced by the things that I was experiencing in my life abroad. And so more and more songs came to pass, and then I just felt a very strong power within the music. So I dreamt of doing this like on a professional level, and maybe at some point of my life being able to make a living from making music. And so that's how I got into music. And ever since I started embarking on that journey with music and seeing like how much power is within music and what it can do with people, what it can do in terms of uniting people, what it does in terms of making language so relevant, as music is such a power which sometimes doesn't even need words, as people would completely understand what you're talking about. So yeah, well, music is definitely part of the world citizenship movement, a very important one, I would say.
We are one, and that when we get together, we have that power to begin to change the world. I also wanted to ask Dominik to tell us a little bit more about where were you born, and what were the places you traveled to that connected you to feel like a world citizen?
Well, I was born in Germany in 4th of October, 1978. And then and my father was a German diplomat. And that's why we started moving from country to country. So I went to Mexico when I was about a year old. We stayed in Mexico for 3 years. Then we moved to West Africa.
Where in Mexico were you?
Excuse me?
Where in Mexico were you? Because I'm in Mexico now.
Mexico City.
Ah.
Yeah. And then we moved to Liberia, West Africa for 3 years. Then we went back to Germany for 2 years. Then I went to New York for 3 years. So to the States. And then from the States, we moved to East Africa. We went to Kenya, where I spent 5 years. And then I went to Egypt, where I spent another 2 years. And I graduated in Egypt at the German school. And then I came back to Germany in 1999. And I've been here ever since, with the pauses of being on tour on all different continents of this world.
So in your song, you talk about let differences unite. I guess the different places you traveled, you must have found a lot of differences in people, but what was there that you united them?
Well, basically being human is what unites all the people, because at the end of the day, I've made so many experiences traveling to different countries and really going into places where people would not be assimilated to Western cultures, and people would not be able to talk to me in their language. I wouldn't be able to communicate with the people with words. But it was so amazing to see how little words you sometimes need to go into a profound connection with somebody. And at the end of the day, we're humans, we live in different cultures, we live under different circumstances, but we laugh about same things, no matter where you go. And that's something which connects everyone. And if you can laugh with somebody, sooner or later, you will be able to get into an in-depth conversation with somebody that goes beyond only fun.
Wow. Well, Randy, you also are living in Mexico, a country where you don't really speak the language that well. Have you experienced what Dominik is talking about in terms of connecting with people and laughing together?
Yeah, I've traveled quite a bit besides Mexico. And when I do, I try to find places where the local people are, not just the tourist stops, because you get the culture better. You get the camaraderie. Hopefully, they will appreciate Americans where you visit. But in the meantime, I found that we are all the same, and it's all equal, and it's just wonderful to visit other places and see other cultures and to get along with them. And usually, it's very easy if you're positive and kind.
Well, I'd love for you to just take a couple of minutes to tell a little story about, I mean, you were a kid, you had your big hit wonder, Incense and Peppermint, when you were 17 years old. But when you had the delivery route in the Watts riots, was that before or after your hit song?
That was before. That was one of my first jobs. I had a paper route, and then I was able to, other than teaching drum lessons, I started playing when I was 5. But I was doing for a friend heliarc torches, and I had to deliver in Watts, and it was during the riots. And I don't know, I was going through.
What happened to you then?
And 3 guys stopped me, and they said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm working. That this is my first day on the job, and I need to deliver these torches." And they said, "Well, you're not allowed. We're not allowing white people right now." And I said, "Well, you're people, I'm people." I said, "What's the difference?" And he said, "No, it's just bad timing. He said, you have to leave. We're going to have to hurt you." And I went, "I don't know. I got to go to work." And so they got a little, they stood up to me. And so when they did, I just said, "Can you do this?" And I went, and they went, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, you got rhythm. You're black. I'm white. I got rhythm. But can you do this?" So out of taking the anger, I started bringing in music and camaraderie to try to put us together and you get them out of the thought they were into. Maybe and anyway, so the one guy was a leader and the other one was following, and he said, "I can do that." And he did it, and I went, "Okay, now can you do this?" and he goes, "Yeah, I can do that." And so anyway, then the other guy, and he was called Big Red, redhead black boy, and he just goes, "You're crazy." And I said, "No, I'm having some fun right now. How about you?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, You're okay. You go, and if anyone bothers you, you tell them Big Red told you to, you're okay, and to see me." And I said, "Okay, thank you." But it took that getting away from the hatred and the animosity, and and it was only rhythm. It wasn't totally music, but even just rhythm can bring people together really quick. And that's what it did. And so it was a good day.
Now, many people, in such situations have ended up, well, we've heard about one of the other guests we had was his son was a pizza delivery person and got killed by a gang there. And later this incredible guy hired the kid who had killed his son to go with him together around his schools, talking against gang violence and about building peace together. So an amazing story of forgiveness, which we'll come back to another week here too. But what was your experience, Dominik, of the power of music to heal? Have you ever had any situations where you've seen that kind of power that Randy was talking about, of using music to disarm and to get past potentially dangerous situations?
Well, yes, definitely. I've had situations where music would instantly loosen tensions between people. For instance, if if you would see people like having an argument, or you really start feeling like an aggressive vibe between people, somebody would just come up and start singing. At first, like, people don't even notice, but at some point you feel that something is changing in the atmosphere, as if like the singing means a sort of cleansing of the bad vibrations. And that I've seen a couple of times. And basically every time I'm on stage, I feel the power of music, especially when you see like the energy between the people starts rotating, and it kind of starts accelerating, and it gets like to a degree where like everything is just happening and you're not even consciously having a conscious thought. I know, I'm sure like Randy knows that from being on stage, when you're like so into playing that basically you get off stage after 2 hours and you feel like, yo, what? Those are 2 hours of time? That felt like a 10-minute meditation. You know, so there's so much power within music. Also, like if you consider something like an example, like if let's say you have like a very strong connection to an album, like one of your favorite albums, and you connect a certain experience, whether it may be good or bad, with this music, and then you don't listen to this music for a long time, and suddenly you listen to that song or this album, and it throws you back in time immediately, as if like this time didn't even exist. You just reconnect where you disconnect with the music. And that's the same thing that happens with music in tension situations. It just loosens everything and brings back the people to where they're actually supposed to be. And that is a peaceful way of treating each other.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we all know, and we've all experienced the power of music to not only heal, but to give you a certain immortality. I mean, how many people have been brought together by John Lennon's song "Imagine," and how many more people will be connected by that into the future? How did you resonate with that? Each of you resonate with the song "Imagine." How did that touch you?
Well, for me, it was so open-minded compared to the normal normal thoughts you get with religion and love and peace and humanity. And it was so wonderful to say that everybody is the same, and imagine if there's no religion. I mean, it's just an incredible thought to bring everything down to equality.
Yeah, it's
such a simple.
Religions in the name of someone who said love your enemies, for example, have been used to kill massive numbers of people, and just the opposite of what sometimes the founders, the great spiritual teachers that all have some great spiritual messages to learn, have instead been used to divide us and kill each other. Dominik, any comment from you on Imagine?
Yeah, it's so powerful, because on one hand it's so simple that everyone can relate to it, but on the other hand, like, everything that becomes solid needs imagination first, right? Everything that we try to change or try to develop in globally or in our personal life needs imagination. Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge.
Well, that's a beautiful, beautiful statement. I think that's the whole idea behind Gary's whole thing, is that if we can first imagine a people-powered planet, if we can create that vision in our heads, we can do it. I mean, every single invention around us, all these buildings behind me, every one of them, somebody imagined it first. And then out of that imagination, people were able to put that together and create it, and everything around us. So clearly, imagination is the key. And you're helping us imagine. How do you think your song World Citizen has helped people imagine something different? Have you ever had people come up to you and talk about it, and has that somehow touched them to imagine something different?
Oh, very often. It's either people coming up to me and saying like, yo, this song really touched me. Like, I really love the song. Every time I listen to the song, it brings joy to my life. That's like, I mean, you can't do something nicer than that with a song, I guess. And on the other hand, discussions came up, interesting discussions about what world citizenship really means. And for me, like, my approach of world citizenship, like making these experiences of growing up, like in all these different countries from when I was a kid, was that basically true world citizenship is a state of mind. So living in Kenya in East Africa, for instance, at some point I realized, okay, my home is basically a state of mind. My home is in my head. That means wherever I am, I can feel home, but I need to be the one opening up for it. If you go somewhere close and you expect people to crack you open, that's what people always combine with religious awakenings, like to crack yourself open, but maybe that's not even necessary. If you have like a genuine connection to yourself and to the people around you, you don't need to be enforced to do something like loving or embracing a stranger.
Well, I love that. I love that. That also reminds me of listening to Trevor's audio book, Trevor Noah, about his incredible experiences growing up and connecting. And indeed, I think you're right that world citizenship is a state of mind. And Randy, once we step into that state of mind of world citizenship, what power does that give us to help fix this damaged world or to create something new? What power does that give us?
What gives us the power of not just relying on the government, that the people themselves are, at stake. We are all at stake. And we need to have this thought that, and we're all one, so we can stop fighting, for one thing. And what a wonderful thing that would be. I mean, there'll always be ego and greed, but usually it's just not worth killing for, And when we can evolve to that, and being a world citizen and bringing everybody encompassed in, like you said, hugging a stranger, no matter where they're from, no matter what color they are. To me, when I heard about Gary Davis from Richard Crawford, he was the one that produced your pilot for your film. He told me about him, and I just couldn't believe it. And I was working on a fire relief concert at the time, putting something together to help some of the families that got burned out in 2007. And he said he's only in town for a couple of days. And I said, well, I have to meet him. I have to see him. And so I said, hold him. I'll get the next airplane ticket. If he can stay, I want to meet this guy. And so when I did, and it was wonderful. I mean, it was like, or my song is I really like Dominik's tune, but my song, it was more like one of my greatest days. One day I got to walk through the end of a rainbow. One day I got to see flying saucers over the ocean. And one day I got to meet Gary Davis. It was one of those amazing days.
Yeah. Yeah, just June 27th July 27th would have been his, I guess, 99th birthday. Is that right, Melanie? It would have been his birthday. And he passed away in 2013. But I think those of us who did meet him were so honored and touched. And hopefully our movie helps touch people. Dominik, what were your reactions when you met Gary Davis, not in person, but in our film, The World Is My Country?
Oh, I was really impressed because I had never heard of him before. And suddenly was like, wow, like, who is this guy? Yeah, I mean, he has such a wonderful aura. I think he's so he's a small man, but he's so you can feel the energy even like in the videos where he's very old already. And I just thought, like, when I saw the movie afterwards, I was thinking, there were times I remember like where I would not necessarily be very optimistic about individuals being able to change the world as individuals to something good, whereas you have a lot of individuals who can do a lot of harm within no time. So I was always kind of thinking, okay, that's not even possible, but it is possible. And Gary Davis is such a perfect example that one person with the true ambition and like in a way a sort of innocence which you need in this kind of world if you want to like try to establish something like world citizenship. It's just amazing. It's just a great inspiration, I think. Wow. I think a lot of people should find out who Gary Davis was, because he's the proof to all the people, including myself at a certain point in my life at least, that individuals can really change something big and get a rock rolling.
Wow. Well, I do hope that's a very good point, and it touches me, and I do hope people will come to theworldismycountry.com and get to watch this this inspiring movie. And the cool thing about him, as you said, is he had such an innocence. I mean, he was just an actor on Broadway. His big moment came when he got the stand-in for Danny Kaye, and
it was coincidence, yeah.
You know, thousands of people, and then he finds himself, boom, World War II comes along, and he's in a bomber plane ordered to blow up people in their homes and schools and factories, and his own brother is killed. And he says, my God, why? Why weren't the people who killed my brother arrested? Why wasn't I arrested? I blew up kids, families. This is crazy. And he came back and he realized that inside countries, it's illegal to kill people. Outside, it isn't. That's anarchy. Outside, you get a medal for it. You know, this is crazy. And he said, all we have to do, it's not that hard, folks. All we have to do is just have to establish ourselves as world citizens and just add the same laws, outlaw killing people. You don't have to go through complicated things to stop war. Inside nations, it's illegal to kill people. Yes, people still commit crimes. Yes, there may still be even riots and so on. But if you have advanced progressive policing, which if you look at another one of our podcasts with Chief Donald Grady, who brought warring police forces together into one, and has an incredible podcast at theworldismycountry.com/club, an incredible podcast about how policing can be done in a way that is so uplifting and humanitarian, empowering for everybody involved, where people get to express their rights. Anyway, if we think about, once we realize we're citizens of one place, we can solve these problems. All the problems that seem insurmountable are insurmountable because we're separated. And once we come together, we the people are the superpower. We're the force that can change things. And the fact that he, as one man, helped trigger the passage of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You'll see that in the film. You got all the nations of the world unanimously voting for this. He didn't start that. Eleanor Roosevelt did that, and lots of other people. But what it looks like happened the day after he had this huge rally with 20,000 people, the Soviets dropped their objection they'd been to for 3 years. And they said, okay, let it get passed. And it got passed unanimously. So yes, one person can spark a shift in the world. And I think your music sparks shifts. It plants seeds in people that help change things. Let's talk a little bit more about what did you think, Dominik, of Gary's idea that it's not government, that not the existing governments have to change things, but we the people realizing we're the sovereigns who can create something new, not the old kind of oppressive government, but sort of a people-powered, interactive system that brings to the top the highest and best wisdom of everybody on the planet. How did those ideas sound to you?
Well, you know, like we're talking about democracy, right? which people always consider as being like a system where the people basically tell the leaders what to do. That's not the reality. You know, that's the problem, because basically the people vote representatives that are being represented and being influenced. So I don't really see like a real democracy actually happening, because if people would really be able to have influence on much more like vital decisions that are being made, like on a world political, geopolitical, economical level, things would be different. But that's not the reality. So right now, like, we believe we have a lot of influence as a people because we have the right to vote, for instance. But so many things are being decided which the people would not want to be that way, but they're still happening.
Yeah, absolutely right. Like, you know, 80–90% of the people in the world want to get rid of nuclear weapons, for example, and yet it doesn't happen, and so on. But, you know, I think one of the keys to this that Gary realized is he said, you know, why are we knocking our heads against the wall trying to convince these nation state leaders to change when they can't do it? Their loyalties to the part, not the whole. They're on the wrong civic level. If the Universal Declaration, the Declaration of Independence says it is the right of the people to institute new government. Gary said, wow, all right. let's go ahead and do it. And he actually declared a government of, by, and for the people of the world. Every constitution says that, the Universal Declaration says that, the Declaration of Independence, but nobody actually thought of, well, if we the people have the right to create government, let's just go ahead and do it at the global level. There's nothing to overthrow. There's no other government out there. The United Nations, he tried to convince them to have a people-powered assembly, and Eleanor Roosevelt told them, go ahead, if you guys want to do it, basically. That's what she said in essence in her My Day column. You'll see that in the movie, we the people are the ones who have the power to make this shift, and we have these incredible new tools where, you know, he said it was the old horse and buggy days where you had to send representatives off by horse and buggy to meet in the same room. Now, with the internet, we can all meet in the global room. You know, we're seeing this all the world as people are Zooming and connecting. But he said the key is you don't just Zoom and connect with the people you already agree with, that the more you can Zoom and connect across these political divides and barriers, the more that should increase the algorithm or whatever that has the impact of your small group interacting with other small groups and others. He called them syntegrity groups, synergy, the coming together like the geodesic sphere of Bucky Fuller's geodesic sphere, where we're all on top of that organizational chart instead of just the king on top and all this underneath, the king or president or whatever. That in this kind of new synergistic system, we would bring out the highest and best in each person instead of the race to the bottom that we have with the old kind of horse and buggy pseudo democracy. So yeah, well, we're glad to have you thinking right along your lines, and we hope you'll be part of us are continuing to do that. Randy, do you have some comments on that? Do you have some comments on that idea of us coming together from the bottom up and creating something new in the way we govern our world?
I'm going to go back to rhythm. One thing that actually brought so many kids together as when I was like 5 years old in kindergarten, and it was how I got started with drums. And the teacher gave me the drum, and we would parade around the block, you know. And so she said, you know, just keep a beat so everybody kind of stays in time in the thing. And I went, okay. And then, and I had no idea about the magnetism of music and how it could bring people together. And when I was doing it, you know, I just did it and everything was fine. And I thought, you know, I'm going to speed this up a little bit, see what happens. And so I did. And all of a sudden, all the kids had to start running and stuff. And I went, wow, this is, wow. You know, it's like all of a sudden, you know, what is it about this instrument, this thumping? I mean, it was the beginning of communication in the very old days. They had a big drum, and if it was bad weather and stuff, they would go across the villages and that kind of thing. But I just when I got to feel so many people come together and not even want to, they couldn't help it. It was just something that was created. And anyway, that's one thing that I just said, man, I got to do this the rest of my life. And luckily at 5 years old, I made a decision to do something, you know, and get good at it. And I'm still just really enjoy the whole thing. This COVID has really knocked things back a bit. It's and I know Dominik agrees. You know, I mean, we're trying to do what we can on the internet and try to do something, but you don't get that spark of 100 people, 200 people, 100,000 people feeling the music, and you watched it all come together and things like that. I had one. I was backing up a reggae artist, Leroy Smart, one time.
Oh, nice.
And he was. We were playing a church in San Diego, and I just had never. I mean, I've had a lot of great experiences. I played very huge audiences and things, but this was so magical. There was the audience was there, and he was, you know, copping the groove, and we started, you know, just getting the thing going. And the band was kind of swaying back and forth. And all of a sudden, the audience started coming back and forth with the feel of music. It was a sit down. It wasn't like they could get up and dance, but the energy would just start flowing. And at one point, and it was maybe just 250 people, but this is the biggest reaction I'd ever gotten from a crowd, to have the energy of the people actually push me back. When they would come forward like that, it hit me so hard that I was trying to play, and I was going, whoa, I was trying to keep my balance. And I don't know, it just comes to, boy, if we can somehow do that and have that much energy. I mean, to me, it's like a crisis. If we could get somehow all the people in the world to just go, COVID, go away. I mean, everybody in the world say it at the same time. When you have that kind of togetherness and universal energy, and that's what we need to pull this off, besides a very good vaccine, is the universal energy of everybody coming together at one time, one day, and just go away, go away. I mean, it is so forceful, it is so huge. And I mean, I just felt it with a couple hundred people, just think it was, if it's billions of people. That's, to me, it's just a way of, somehow we got to pull this off. We got to get this and make life more enjoyable to live for all of us. And we as a unit, can do it. And being separate or being indecisive is a different thing. We need to come together somehow. And that's what this World Citizen thing is implying, and that we're all equal, and that we're going to come together and do it. But then with the communication, like you said, with the computers and all this other stuff, it is so easy if we could all just get it together. And like, it would be fun to do something for the whole world, to do one thing at the same time, to get rid of something or to bring in happiness or something, and just try it to see how strong that could be, And it's a dream of mine.
Dominik, go ahead and jump in on that. Let the two of you talk about that a little bit more.
The thing is, like this same for me, like this COVID thing, that kind of put everything like at stake,
Yeah.
But somehow I also believe, as I'm an optimistic person, I believe that there might be a great chance within this crisis, because every crisis has given humanity chances. And I think, when was the last time that the whole globe was literally sitting in the same boat in terms of being threatened by a disease? Never.
No.
So there's
plague had its course.
It did, but like, let's say, like on a real completely global scale, like COVID-19. So I think there's a great chance of unification within this crisis, but people need to realize that maybe we need to kind of step out of the comfort zone in order to reach a conscience, because conscience usually doesn't come when you're like distracted from your day-to-day life. Usually consciousness comes when you make an experience that you haven't been that you haven't been opposed to. So it also, like in the movie, what I thought was so interesting is that people need to be brave if they want to change something. Gary Davis was brave. A lot of people are afraid to lose their comfort zone if they want to change something. And I think that's something that really needs to change, that people step out of the comfort zone, that we realize that we're basically like indigenous people used to be. Like, the community would be a small community, would work like a nerve cell. Everybody would be connected with each other, would be one thing, like the flower of life kind of circulation. Today, like also with the social media and everything, we've perverted individuality in a way, thinking that since we like put so much focus on being individual, that like our ego blows up, and we're actually not that connected anymore. So maybe that's where we need to go back to, like finding a conscious culture of all humans. Like a real conscious connection. Thus keeping our different cultures and keeping our different mentalities and different languages, but finding, because I'm also with you, Randy. I believe that if all human beings would focus on one thing at the same time, I think the effect could be amazing.
Wow. Well, I think the closest we kind of came was with the We Are the World that Michael Jackson helped spark. And I remember that incredible feeling of connectedness around the planet at that point. You know, I think you're so right there about having to create this culture of peace. In our question box now, we have Richard Bennett said, yes, we need synergy, he said, but music can bring people together. But they used to pump music into the cockpits of jet pilots to get them to kill and bomb people. And of course, we see movies with terrible messages about killing each other and murder and mayhem, and we see music accompanying that as well. So he says it can work both ways. How do we begin to create that culture of peace you're talking about that uses music to elevate in that beautiful way, like We Are the World did?
Oh boy, it's boy, because we're under the scrutiny of radio and television, and the radio and television loves what sells, and unfortunately, there's a big part of the population that buys the negativity, and so you know, to get that positive music, it's being done, but to get them to take off the other music and put that out only. And then would they have the audience, but then, you know, how can we turn that audience to a very big minority of negativity as opposed to how large it really is, that enjoys the fighting, the death, you know, but it's there with nothing we can do about it that I know of other than try. But as far as making that music predominant, so to speak, it's like, religion music, you know, I mean, that's pretty dang positive. And yet how many people listen to religion stations in as a mass? Because that's all positive. A lot of people that they love the controversy. And so I don't know how to change that. All we can do is try. And for sure, I think Dominik and I are, and many musicians and things. And it's sad to see the other ones that don't. But at the same time, it's a living, it's a job, and a lot of people do what they have to make the buck. Right. And it's nice when you don't have to or you don't want to. And so far, I've been lucky in that field that, you know, I've been able to do that. I've been able to say, you know, no, I don't have to do that and stuff. But anyway, to make the music that positive and to have it to be that popular. It's going to take a good beat, I'll tell you that. It's got to bring the people together to want to hear it. So, but I don't know, but that's a tough question, Arthur.
Yeah. Well, Bucky Fuller, you know, said we don't, and Gary loved Buckminster Fuller. He said, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. You just create a new model that's so fabulous that everybody comes flocking to it. So Dominik, how do we begin to get together? Maybe starting with you and Randy, but with some other musicians. How do we create that new, even higher level We Are the World at this moment when the world is really coming together and ready for something like that?
Good question.
Well, I'm working on a song myself. It's called Evolve, and I'm praying that we will evolve to what we need to do. And what's that?
I'm also writing on a new song,
yeah,
which was actually inspired of me anticipating like the talk we were gonna have today. It's called like basically living the moment, because like in the past few months, since like the whole future is like you can't really grasp where we're going. Nobody really knows how COVID is going to develop and how the restrictions will come to pass in the next months to come. So it's a complete living in the moment feel right now for me.
Well, in this moment, can we hear it? Is it something you're ready? I mean, no, it's not finished, but are you ready to do a few bars and maybe see, maybe play back and forth a little bit with Randy about it? What do you want? Do you have something you could do for us?
It's something in German, actually.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to listen to that. And children's music too that I'm working on at the moment. Actually.
Well, any song, either that or whatever you think you're ready to play a little bit of. But Why don't you give us a taste of that, or just a direct rendition of you doing the World Citizen song, whatever you feel is comfortable with. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I can sing a bit of the World Citizen song if you want.
Oh, okay, sure. Go ahead.
World citizen, same vision is more equal rights and justice for the people then. What's happening to the beautiful world that we're living in? World citizen, lift up your voices, for you know we got something to say. All we need is the same direction, heading in one way. In this world, we live as one. I know we can make it 'cause the time has come. In this world, gotta live as one. We're going in the same direction, a real connection out of many. We are one. Oh, 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 yeah. A long time missing the war for season, but only gonna make the love increase. Tired to see the youths, them lay disease, make we peace, make we commence the peace in the season. We really need to bring that old thing back. Need more love upon the righteous track. Remember when we used to love like that? Seems like you don't know, remember that. In this world, we live as one. I know we can make it 'cause the time has come. In this world, gotta live as one. Going in the same direction, a real connection out of many. We are one.
Okay, thank you. Wow, I really enjoyed that. Bravo. And then there's another question here. It says, I find kids' songs and comics share great truths. You mentioned, Dominik, that you're working on a kids' song. Tell us about that.
Well, actually, I have a kids' music project, and I would agree with that comment, 100%. Basically, like the information we give to kids is so important, you know, and to kind of like plant a seed in form of knowledge or experiences that your kids make, and it's up to the parents what we offer to our children, you know. And kids are so, like racism, for instance, if you see kids playing with one another, there's no racism. They don't have a conscious imagination of what racism is supposed to be. That's why, like, on the other hand, like, I don't think it's necessarily very good to like start talking to my 3-year-old son and telling him, hey, listen, this is racism, and racism exists because there are people who ideologically believe that people are different because of their skin color. So I don't even want to plant the thought into his head of becoming aware that people are different. You understand what I'm trying to point out?
Right.
You know, and with kids, with music, it's such a nice way to reach out to kids and to make them enjoy music, like what Randy was saying, getting into like kind of into an acceleration of a meditative way of groove, you know, like experiencing music, and at the same time getting information that builds up consciousness, you know, that makes the kid eager to ask more questions, you know. So
Wow,
that's my approach of making kids music, for sure. Like, to entertain the children, give them like a rhythmic feeling, but at the same time teach them something.
right. Wow. And why don't we bring Richard and others on if we have any?
yes.
Yes, Richard just put on a powerful nuclear conference, and he has another one coming up. So Richard, go ahead with your questions and comments, and then close by telling us when they can tune into you.
Well, I'm just so impressed again with the two of you and your music, and how it can bring the world together and to unite the world and be a positive influence in the world. I think that there is, as I said, a lot of negativity We see the protests in Portland, and if we could just turn that into one big party instead, that might bring the feds into a more happy space, and instead of inflicting pain on people by shooting tear gas and canisters and whatnot at people, that everybody could have a wonderful time.
Yeah, I like Randy's idea of music that's so powerful they can't stop dancing.
Exactly.
And I wanted just to say, just hearing you sing the song, Dominik, that was just very, very special. And we feel honored that you were able to just instantly do that for us. And really,
it's my pleasure. Thank you so
thank
much.
you. Yeah, so great discussion, just amazing. And I see that we're at the top of the hour. So Arthur, did you want to present what's happening?
So next Wednesday, you see Richard Denton there, and he's going to be on our podcast talking about how we move from this danger that we're plunging toward a war without winners, and instead find a way to make us all winners without war. And that will be next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And the week after that, we're having Ira Helfand, who is the also with international positions for the prevention of nuclear war. And he gave a powerful, powerful speech at the Rotary International Peace Conference that really told us that even just, we know an all-out war would destroy humanity, but even if just 1% of the nuclear weapons were used in a very limited nuclear war, it would set off environmental catastrophe far greater than anything we've ever seen with pollution or any of the other damage to the environment. It would damage it so much that it would still set in motion the effects that would end civilization as we know it, with just 1% of the 70,000 nuclear weapons used. So, but at the same time, he too says, hey, look, celebrate. We made it this far. We haven't blown ourselves up, and we humans have the capability to turn it around. We have incredible power inside of us. The Rotary E-Club of World Peace, which meets every Tuesday, 6:30 in the evening, Barbara Mueller, who founded, her husband, Robert Mueller, who is the Assistant Undersecretary of the United Nations, says that the superpower is another superpower rising, and that superpower is we the people. And once we find out how to connect, as you said in your songs, can go in the same direction, wow, look out, planet, we're going to create a cool world. So join us every week at the People Powered Planet podcast. And thank you so much to our wonderful guests and to Melanie and Tom for helping with the tech side of it. And we will see you next week.